job anymore, then, I just get rid of it. That's how I do it. But
like you do collect, like what do you do? Like if you were to collect, like what fancies you? I know you're very like into the tactical stuff and like everything has a purpose,
sure.
but like I love Winchesters. Like I love old school lever action Winchesters.
Yeah,
what are you like? If you were to collect, if you had $10,000,
if I was gonna like just jump into that thing, of collecting, I think to start with, the first thing that comes to mind is probably like the SIG hammer pistols.
Yeah, like 226.
I just do those things. Like those are some of the guns that really like got me excited about.
Modern or old? Would you try to go like old?
No, I would want like I would probably want the like West German manufactured stuff like to start with, because that's like where everything, it was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good. And then like the Exeter, New Hampshire stuff is also
they're also really good, but different eras.
The old stuff I think would have to be kind of where I started. Hey, so it's Thursday and we are live.
Hi.
Welcome everybody to the Firing Pin live stream. Is that what we're calling? I always forget.
I call it the Firing Pin live.
Yeah,
I know Brandon wants to kind of do something a little different, but
yeah. So maybe we should get some audience feedback on that. If you guys have any suggestions for, because my suggestions fall on deaf ear.
I'll listen.
So
it's got a good nose.
Oh Lord.
Social. Is anybody out there?
Okay.
That's really happy.
Yeah, it is. So let's take care of some business first here, guys. I want to talk to you about our friends over at Arms Preservation Inc. because we're seated here. Can't see the sign behind me as well tonight. So I'm just going to hold up the product here. This is one of their pistol bags, if I'm not mistaken. And they just make a really solid product. The whole spiel, right? Locally made,
Fairport,
using their vapor corrosion inhibitor technology, really high quality, thick blue plastic there. Great Velcro on the bags that include the Velcro. Actually, I was mistaken too. This is an ammo can liner bag. You can tell it doesn't have the Velcro. It
still seals. It has like that Ziploc.
Has that really great quality seal to the bag.
I'll be brutally honest. The first time we brought API in, before I met Mitch, before I met Jason, I was like, like what can, like, how can they be that cool? All I associated it with was like the bags Berettas come with, that like thin blue. Or that's what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. But having like worked with them, and I know we get like they're sponsors, but like I legitimately like throw my collectibles in there, and
I like to use their stuff.
Their ammo liners are great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I am kind of in the same boat, right? When something new kind of comes along, I am not always the first one to like just jump on it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've seen a lot of different stuff that's been like, this is the next greatest thing ever.
And then it's never that great. So, but like
these guys
kill it.
Yeah.
They kill it.
These happen to be like really well made and all of that good stuff. So I agree. Another kind of new thing in our world, or in your world specifically, is going to the gym, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fitness, over there in Leroy, they are killing it, man. They're beyond boxing classes. I don't know where they're at with that exactly, but I've seen pictures of the room and everything, and it's.
Are they doing it next door, or are they doing it in there?
No, it's actually in the. We got to get you over. We got to get you into the whole place so you can see everything.
Yeah, I've only been into like the main room.
Right. Yeah. No, they have like there's a downstairs portion and there's like a back room and like,
very cool.
Yeah. No, they have a lot going on in there. Cardio, CrossFit classes, beyond boxing.
Yeah,
is a thing that they're doing now.
Yeah.
They have the 24/7 gym access, which is what we like. With the cool app, and just great. They just won some sort of an award as well. They were voted like the best gym in Genesee County.
Damn.
I've been saying that for like a long time. They're like the best gym in Western New York. So I'm not saying that like
now it's backed.
Told you so, but like now there's documentation. You know what I'm saying?
I really do love, and again, it feels weird because our sponsor, so like everybody already thinks that it's. It's a bought opinion, but I really just do love how they're mom and pop. It's like a mom and pop gym.
Yeah, well, I'm friends with Casey a little bit, and I'm friends with Matt and Kelsey a little bit, and so I think that it's nice to know who you're doing business with in that way, and who you're supporting, and great local business, great people. Can't say enough good stuff about them. And if you are looking for a gym, and you're in the Genesee County area, I would suggest checking them out first.
So when my back and leg are better
Yes.
and I'm able to get back at it with you,
Yes.
we can do plate carrier stuff, right?
Yeah, they are cool with that. As far as I know, I've been told that I can wear my plate carrier in there, and it's not an issue. To go climb ropes, they do have the ropes in there that we can climb. They have kettlebells that we can carry.
Scares
they
me.
have rowers that we can row, and the yoke that we can hop over. And
I'm the kid that falls off the rope.
Yeah, it's difficult at first, but they actually have a really good. I'll have Casey show you how. He showed me like his technique, because I thought I was like okay at climbing ropes, and he actually showed me a better way.
Did you ever climb a lot of ropes when you? Probably not, like in service, like basic,
so like
or
regular Army. You don't really do as much. I mean, you have to do it in basic training just to like demonstrate like this is how to climb a rope kind of thing. Like you do it at the obstacle course. And then I think I probably did it when I got to Fort Riley, like at home station when we were doing the obstacle course over there. The only other times that I really had to do it was when I was going to Special Forces Assessment and Selection, which I did in like 2009 after we got back from my first deployment and stuff like that. So, yeah, we had to do a ton of rope climbing for that, because if you're familiar with their obstacle course over there,
no.
Nasty Nick, well, you should go watch. There's a cool documentary, 2 Weeks in Hell, and I want to say Discovery Channel, but I could be off base on that. But they went and followed the candidates around Camp McCall when they were getting the shit kicked out of them for 2 weeks at SFAS, and you got to see like Nasty Nick, the obstacle course, and there are a ton of rope climb obstacles in that. So yeah, I spent a lot of time like working on that shit and trying to figure it out, because I wasn't very good at first.
Yeah. Obviously, you're gonna let me interview you too, right? When I do the podcast.
Yes,
when I get around to doing that, when we have space.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed you wouldn't ask me, because talk to me whatever you want.
But I want to do like a formal like video interview. I want to.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I don't know. My big thing, and I was talking with I learned to ask if it's okay to. I've asked vets from like the Vietnam era, like I've talked to them about this podcast I want to do to try to get information from them so they can we can hook up and I can start to record a conversation with them. And I learned real quick that not everybody's very comfortable talking about their service.
No, some people are really weird about it, man. Like it's, even for me, I have a hard time like kind of meeting everybody where they're at in terms of like comfort level.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me, like I will tell you everything
and anything.
I don't.
Yeah,
like,
you are an open book.
It doesn't matter to me, like talking about like things that I saw, or because I don't think any of it was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or like I don't feel any sort of like conflict, I guess.
Yeah.
Between like what I do now or who I am now or how I choose to live my life now and what I did then or what I believed then. Because I didn't necessarily believe all the same things then that I believe now too. You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily know all the things that I know about like the government and how corrupt it is and like the reasons that things happen. You know what I mean? Like
how old were you?
I was 22.
20, so you were young still.
I was 22. I was pretty young, and I more so than that, like I had wanted to join since like even before 9/11. Like even when I was like younger, there's a lot of pictures of me when I was a kid, like with like my toy guns.
How old?
Like,
8, 9? Roughly.
Yeah, no, I would say like even early, dude, I was a gun guy from like the beginning, but like I always I associated that with like part of that was like I wanted to join the military at some point, or like that was an aspirational thing.
Yeah.
Right? So when I was growing up, that was like a thing that you would aspire to be and
be a soldier,
right, and go right, because America was awesome, right? And so
still is.
I still believe, I still totally believe that. I'm not saying that I don't.
Oh yeah, I know you.
But like just somebody famous.
Yeah.
But like so, but in general, I don't necessarily agree with all of the positions that I held then, right? So, but I don't think that any of the stuff that that I was personally involved in or personally doing or anything like that was shameful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel any shame associated with it or any like sense of like, man, I messed up in some way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was younger. I believed different things. I wanted to do a job. I thought it was an important job. I still think it's an important job. And I had a family. And I had like kids that I wanted to try and support and set a good example for and like make sure they had health insurance and, you know, basic shit like that. So plus I was kind of tired of working 3 jobs, man.
What were you doing before then?
I was like a warehouse guy at Continental Auto Parts in Batavia. Most people probably don't know where that's at, but it's over on the south side of Batavia. And I would stage loads in the morning time for the drivers to go out. So I would get there, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And I would pick parts out of the warehouse that were like on the sheets for the drivers, the delivery sheets. And then I would take those parts and I would load them into the vans for the drivers to go out. And then I would work in the warehouse picking parts for like orders that were, coming in or orders that were, I would stock parts that had come in, whatever. I would do that for like, I think it was 30 hours a week maybe. And then I was doing a construction thing too. So I would go and do labor for
beating your body up.
It wasn't too bad, man. I was working for, it was Henry Cook and LLC, I think. And he's actually my son's grandfather. So we would do a lot of like bathroom remodels was mostly the stuff that we were doing then. So, I would go and like do labor over there. I wasn't very good at anything, but it was cool. And then I would go and do telemarketing in the evening time also, or for classic home improvement. So I was like calling people on the phone and interrupting their dinner and being like, hey, can I interest you in like a free estimate for some jackass to come?
How often did that work?
I got a lot of leads because I was pretty good on the phone. Like I'm pretty good talking to people in general. So
of course.
Like that was kind of one of the places where I really kind of learned how to do that, like how to just get better at it. I had to like figure out how to like break down barriers with people, and people are mad.
Yeah, I mean that's my personal experience. Like fuck you.
Yeah, you call them and they want to yell at you and whatever, and it's like, do you think I want to fucking talk to you on the phone? Like they were just cussing you out. And
I'm just a human, sir.
I get it. Like nobody wants to be bothered at home, but so those were the things that I was kind of doing right before I joined the military. And then I got married, and literally on my wedding day, myself and April were out after the wedding. Everything was over. We were like, hanging out with some friends at, I want to say TF Brown's in Batavia. And we met up with, or we ran into like her friend who was out on a date with her boyfriend at the time, who was an Marine Corps recruiter, excuse me. And he was like super cool guy. And I had just gotten married, and like we were talking to him and like having some drinks. We're playing darts and whatever, playing pool or something. And eventually we left, and I had his card. He had given me his card, and I looked at April and I was like, I know this is kind of seems like it's coming out of left field right now, but I'm definitely doing this. Like on the day that she married me. The day that she married me, I was like, guess what? I'm enlisting. Now, and remind you, this is 2005. We were like balls deep in 2 wars. We're not like, it's not like maybe I won't get deployed or something like that.
I'm going across the world.
Yeah, like I am going to sign up to get deployed. Like that's what is happening. And she was like, I support you no matter what. Like to her credit, like she literally that's a wife,
then, bro. That's wife material.
Right. So for all of you young people out there, like who are wondering whether or not you should get married, right? The advice that I always give to like my kids or whatever, or the thing that I always say is like, the reason that I got married, right, was because I knew that no matter what happened, it would be better for me to work it out with her and keep everything together.
Yeah.
Like no matter what else came up, it would always be in my best interest to try to work it out and stick it out. Right.
Yeah.
So once I recognized that, I was like, yep,
That's the way it should be. I don't know. I just like the nuclear family has been so eroded today, and like look where society is because of that. So I'm trying to like, I don't know. You find the right one that's worth it, and just having that like.
So, but what do you think? That's kind of an interesting like topic, right? Because I think that there's a lot of different things that kind of drive that.
What?
That whole nuclear family
being eroded?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So like, I don't know, man. That's a
very deep conversation. I mean, it kind of just, I think in my opinion, kind of boils down to like schools, like public schools. I'm not saying like I went to public school, like I'm not saying public school is bad. All of my in-laws are teachers and stuff. So
So you got to hedge.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. You got to like cover somebody might hear this. Like get jammed up at home.
But no, I don't know. If you think about like what the school system is designed to do, it was in Soviet Russia, right? When they,
I don't really know where the like blueprint for our public school system kind of comes from.
Just dependency on the government. Like,
yeah, I think that like the public school system in general has failed in a lot of ways. Right.
But I think it's important at the same time because like you look at like China and stuff, and their kids they have like AI now and stuff.
The problem is standardization of what people are learning, right? And we were talking about this earlier with like people who homeschool versus people who send their kids to public school, because in a way, like everybody has to be speaking. Not everybody has to be speaking the same language. That
we have to understand each other,
but we have to be able to communicate efficiently and effectively, right? So that's one thing.
Language by talking or like social body
sign language,
like,
social cues. You know what?
Those are
now
important.
There's a lot of technological things that are coming to help us out. There's different devices that can translate and whatever else. So there's a lot of things, but like just at the basic level, right? Getting people all to communicate efficiently and effectively, and like using proper grammar is part of that as well. Because if you're we've all been in the experience of talking to somebody who's using like a regional type dialect or something.
It's hard.
Sometimes kind of language, really some kind of like really just different vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
They throw terminology at you that you don't necessarily understand, whether it's a
fun
regional
stuff,
thing.
Though.
No, it's cool to learn. But like if everybody was learning from their parents only how to speak, then nobody would be able to communicate effectively with people from outside of like their immediate area.
Like your tribe doesn't talk with another tribe.
Right. We'd have a lot more language issues, just even with people that speak English, just because the different variations of English, right? And people from down south, people from the Northeast, etc.
Do all languages have that? Like does?
I would imagine so,
to a certain extent.
If you think about like Spanish, right? Like in Spain, they don't speak the same Spanish necessarily that they speak in Mexico.
That's by like country, but like northern Spain and southern Spain, do they have like different?
It used to be more pronounced. One I'm thinking of is Germany. When German became printed, it standardized a lot of the dialects for the printing press.
And I'm sure a lot of the grammar started to like come together too.
I mean, even after the printing press, like my wife's grandparents were both from Germany, and one was from North Germany, and one was from South Germany.
Right.
And sometimes when they would really get into an argument, they wouldn't actually understand each other.
Yeah.
There were still those differences.
Yeah. Huh.
No, that's interesting, right? So that's part of the reason that we need a public school system is just the communication piece, but then like basic math skills and like history, like what is your understanding of like historical events, right? Because people from the South, like instinctually, they might want to have a different understanding of like the Civil War than people from.
Absolutely.
That's just like one of the differences.
Like imagine if we never got conjoined and there was a North and a South, like a Confederate and a United States.
But like, so let's take it. Let's even say that we did end up in the same state, but there was no public school system that had like kind of standardized what people are supposed to be learning.
Yeah.
Then down in Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, places like that, they might be less inclined to teach the same version of events that, and I'm not saying they would outright lie, and part of the event, part of like the thing is perspectives too, right? But like So we have to learn at a baseline level. We have to learn about specific historical facts that we all can agree on. Does that make sense? Because that's
no matter how
hard
it hurts.
Basis.
Like,
right.
That's important. Like, you have to teach the bad history. You can't.
Right. So, but who's gonna enforce that? Right. It's gonna be like a central authority that defines what we have to teach. So, like, I'm not a pro-government guy, and I hate the public school system in general. But I will say, like, strictly as like a devil's advocate guy here, the Batavia public school system where my kids go has, in my experience, been very good in terms of like, I know what my kids are learning, and I don't have to worry about them being taught a bunch of weird backwards bullshit, and nobody's trying to cram some ideological nonsense down their throat.
Yeah.
And when I look over homework with my kids and we talk about different stuff, I don't feel like they're being like warped into, you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas I have family members who live and send their kids to school in other districts where the school districts are really being, when I say the word perverted, it's going to sound like I'm putting this in a sexual context.
There's an agenda driving it.
Right. There's definitely like something behind the way that things are. So there's some comments coming in. Obviously, I can tell that Josiah is getting some interesting feedback from behind the scenes. So I'm just wondering if anybody.
I more or less just want to. I more or less just want to know what you got. Like, it's going to be a long comment, but type your opinions on public school system. I like to read that kind of stuff.
I was just laughing because one of our common or recurring viewers, Michael, just said, "Dang, what a air trigger should I buy?" In response to all this talk about.
Right, I know, right? Yeah. So no, but like AR triggers. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So I like the ALG defense triggers in general.
No, ALG is good or something.
I really like the LaRue MBTs for a budget trigger. I know they've gone up a little bit. ALG is a nice, great budget trigger too. And the cool thing, it's Geisley.
It's all Geisley stuff. The difference is at the Geisley manufacturing process. The Geisley manufacturing process is more like hand fitting and tuning everything, whereas like the ALG parts are like a mil-spec trigger, and they coat it with their nickel boron stuff, and they probably polish some of the bearing surfaces a little bit, but they're not like hand fitting everything and spending all the time, right? The ALG defense triggers are all the same components you're going to find in the Geisley triggers, just with a little bit less attention paid to some of the finer.
It's after his wife's initials, right? ALG.
Amy Lee Geisley.
Man, you guys know way more stuff about all of these topics than I do.
It depends on what it is.
No, but like forward controls design, we were talking about that earlier. Like, I love how deep in the rabbit holes some people are able to get. I wish I feel so outside of my depth.
I feel
in
dumb
some
a
of these
lot.
Yeah, some of the questions people ask on here too, we get asked a lot of good quality questions.
Like sometimes, like Josiah, you and Cam will get into Josiah, Brian, and Cam will get into a conversation, and you guys get talking, and I'm just like, what?
It's crazy too because there's so much like gun stuff out there that I don't like. Dude, I feel like I absorb a lot of information, but I can't know everything. I can't even know as much as I want to know. It's so frustrating.
I'm convinced that LaRue sells their triggers at a flat, no loss or no profit or a loss just to troll Geisley. Like, I swear that they
with like their packaging.
I swear that they just subsidize their triggers on everything else that they sell so that they could sell a cheaper trigger than Geisley.
Dude, so let's talk about LaRue tactical stuff in general,
LaRue,
right?
Okay, I love LaRue.
They make some good stuff and then they make some funny stuff.
They make some really off the wall shit, man. But like their guns have the reputation of being extraordinarily accurate. But some of the stuff that they put onto the market, I'm like, who did you make this for?
I'm pretty sure that Mr. LaRue just does what he wants, and that's what's happening.
Marty LaRue is so funny.
He just does what he wants.
I mean,
that man can crow call without a crow call. He just he just screams that shit.
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Sorry, I like Marty LaRue. I'm at the SHOT Show.
Dude, that's very interesting. A lot of people don't have access to some of that cool information. So
also,
they
just so
probably-
you
okay.
know, Pat,
Yeah.
your wife is commenting very nice things to you in the chat. I don't know if you're seeing the
Say that again.
April is.
Save it
Oh.
for. I'll be home in a little while.
You know, it's
You
not,
see me
it's
then?
not like that. It's
Oh,
just-
okay.
she
Yeah.
just,
No.
you know,
Sometimes she gets a little bit like, she gets spicy in the chat.
Feisty.
sometimes, so- she's cute. I love her. All right. Anyways,
we would hope so.
There was a couple other questions from guys.
yeah, let's do it.
One, where's Brandon? I don't know. If you find Brandon, let me know.
Your guess is good as no, that's not true. You know where Brandon is. Don't tell him
I haven't seen Brandon in weeks. Anyone out there have any tips on getting smoke smell out of guns? Kind
that.
of.
Shit.
Yeah,
That's
kind of.
hilarious.
Some of the stuff that I recovered from my fire in 2020, cleaning a lot, hobbies. So I had Ben help me, and we had a parts washer, and we pretty much just left it in the parts washer, like running a cycle for 12 hours.
Listen, I'm going to put this out here, but I'm going to do so with the caveat that big boy and big girl rules apply to what I'm about to say.
What do fish eggs have anything to do with?
All I'm saying is follow this advice at your own peril, because it's only going to work if you work it, right? Which means I'm going to tell you to clean your guns with hot water and Dawn dish soap. Dawn dish soap
Dish soap's great
the
for that
smell
stuff.
out of a lot of different stuff. Dawn dish soap works wonders.
Dawn is great.
But if you're using hot water on your guns, what else do you think you need to do? You need to dry that shit off.
Yeah.
You need to lubricate it. So if you follow this advice and you mess your stuff up, I don't want to hear Pat gave me bad advice. I'm giving you all the information that you need. So make sure that you understand, if you choose to follow this advice, then you're doing so with the understanding that you have to dry your shit and lubricate it afterwards.
I mean, that's just like, if you're not lubricating your gun after cleaning it in general, shame on you.
I understand, but common sense is less common today than it used to be, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm not saying that the people who watch the stream are stupid. They're obviously very smart, because that's why they watch the stream.
All 21 of you today.
Well, we were talking about some pretty boring ass topics.
Yeah, we weren't really talking about guns.
So I think we may have lost some people on.
But like, those are fun topics that I like to talk about.
They can be. Maybe we should do a different show.
We can have more than one podcast.
We should do.
That's already the goal.
I think that eventually, like, we do want to expand the brand into some other areas. But I also want people to come to us for the information that they're looking for. So if we have any other additional questions, we can get into it now. As far as like the gun stuff, I did have a topic I was interested to talk about. If you guys will humor me for a minute.
Absolutely.
So I bought a SIG P320 VTAC a while ago. I bought it because I needed like a dedicated gun for classes and competition. And I didn't want to be like taking off my carry gun and like unloading it and like, right. Like I just wanted to take my gun off, put it over here, and then, have another gun that I could go and do my stuff with, and then put my other gun. I'm not a collector, like we were saying in the beginning of the stream.
Yeah.
I have the guns that I have, and those are the guns that I pretty much need. So I don't buy a lot of extra shit. So what I'm thinking about doing though right now is I'm thinking about taking the P320 VTAC that is only compatible with its own holsters and has an optics mounting solution that like I'm not as fond of with the plate and everything like that. But I'm thinking about potentially selling on consignment or something like that my VTAC P320. And then with the proceeds, I would get an optics cut on my Glock 19 that currently just has irons on it.
For the 19 over the 17?
It's just what's in the gun safe right now.
Okay.
Right. Like I already have one. Like I'm not getting a new gun. I'm taking a gun that exists and I'm making it more usable for what I immediately need, which would be like, so basically what would happen is the 19 would get an optic. It would keep the light that's on it now. And it would then probably become my carry gun nominally. And then like the Shadow Systems gun would rotate to like a teaching gun / competition pistol for the time being until I got something maybe a little bit more suitable for that. Because I shoot carry optics when I shoot like USPSA or whatever. So I don't, that gun works fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good, so it doesn't really matter. But so I guess like what that would give me is holster commonality between the gun that I carry and the gun that I use just on the range.
Which is important.
Which is, to me is annoying. Kind of important because that way, if one of the guns was broken, then the other gun could be used for, like in that kind of role.
Yeah.
But then everything would have pretty much the same optics, or at least the same idea as far as like reticle.
So as far as optics go, you said you want to get your optics cut.
Yes.
Does that make you nervous at all? Like having another company?
Like you saying like from a warranty like perspective?
I know your warranty's gone, but I'm talking about like having somebody else do the work on something that's going to protect your life potentially.
Does it make me nervous? Of course it does. Yeah, of course. Like it makes me. There's a lot of risk inherent in that.
Yeah.
I think. But it depends on who you work with, right? So I think it's important to know who you're working with and what their capabilities are and what they're doing, like, or what it is that they're offering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've even considered just buying a different slide because I didn't want to cut the OEM slide.
Right. No,
yeah.
I think, and that's a totally reasonable, and depending on who I went with, like, because I mentioned earlier who I was thinking about potentially trying to work a deal out with. And if I was able to work out the deal, then I might not have to cut the OEM slide anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if there was a way to not have to cut the OEM slide and I was able to get a slide that was already cut, I think that's a good potential workaround there. Because then at least if the slide that's cut is fucked in some way, then
you have the original to go back to.
Right, I can go back to factory.
But then my OCD is bugged because Glock serializes the slide.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's very true.
Did they patent that? Did SIG patent that modular system?
No, the Beretta APX is a modular fire control unit.
Same way?
Roughly.
I think that really needs to be the future of firearms.
You say that, but I really like how the classic hammer-fired SIGs are built. I don't love...
Well, obviously you're not going to touch those, but I don't know. I just feel like modularity is going to be so big in 10 years.
Like, it's cool, but I don't love how the parts are on the FCU because of the modularity. Like, everything's forced inside the gun.
Yeah.
Whereas on the hammer-fired SIGs, all the parts are to the side in the frame.
But this is still all fairly new technology. Like,
oh, yeah.
I'm just trying, like, in 10 years, I think that's going to be pretty more advanced.
I'm kind of with Josiah there, though. Like, I feel like the build quality of the hammer-fired SIGs just made me a lot more, like, feel warm and fuzzy, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of the way that the parts kind of fit together and the way that everything kind of, like, is manufactured. Versus now, everything is designed to just be plug and play, drop in stuff. And tolerance stacking is a real thing, right? So depending on who you're buying your stuff from.
Better compatibility, you sometimes have to lose tolerance.
It's just the way, right? If I want to be able to take this shit apart, I don't want to have to use a hammer or a punch every time. So I want to make it convenient, right? So these parts just have to slide together. Where do you get that sliding together from?
To be fair, with the hammer-fired SIGs, when you're doing things right, some of the parts do come apart super easy.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I was impressed with that.
But like that, I don't know. To me, that comes from just a
good design,
a better design, like more thoughtful design.
I mean, I'm a little biased because I just took the armorer's course and I was guts deep in 229.
No, but I'm with you because I've done stuff to like my 229 and stuff where I've changed like slide releases and trigger shoes and different things like that. So I've taken those older guns apart a little bit more in depth than most people have. Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like, I think that really the design of the guns and the way that they're built and stuff like that, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They're so clean. You know what I mean? Everything is so clean, but it goes together and comes apart really nicely.
It made me feel really safe about them, knowing that at rest, the sear is actively engaged with the hammer safety notch.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's blocked. It's like actively locked up.
These parts are mated together, right? Yeah, no, that's one of the things like people, well, it's a different thing, but it's similar to like the Glock design when like you're a Glock armor and people ask you like, don't you get nervous about carrying your gun appendix? And it's like, well, I might if I didn't understand everything about this gun to the point where I know for a fact, like, I can do whatever I want to the gun. If I don't press the trigger,
out of a helicopter,
it's not going.
Like I would feel comfortable taking a hammer to the back of a hammer fired SIG, and man, like I could smack. This
right. Absolutely. Yeah,
makes me nervous.
It won't.
I just don't have the experience with the hammer fired SIGs.
Right. So that's the thing is like the familiarity.
Exactly what you're saying is going on with me. Like Glocks, obviously I trust because I understand it. But
you understand the whole mechanism. Yeah. So that's the thing is like once you get in there a little bit more, you start to understand the failure points and then what's done to mitigate those failures.
Since we're talking about SIG, we can talk about Vince's question.
Yeah, there's a couple questions, but that's relevant. So hit that one up.
So Vince asks, got a question for y'all. Recently picked up a SIG P320. How does the exchange kit and changing calibers work since the caliber is listed on your CCW with the serial number?
So you actually have to list the same serial number, but in multiple calibers.
Yeah. That's like what I would tell you at the counter too. I'm going with you, but Monroe County like really screwed some guy over for that. He did an AR lower.
Could you list it as multi? Is that an option?
I don't think so.
I don't even think they would understand
because then you're manufacturing it,
but
and
if
they're
you
gonna have a
bought
problem.
an FCU,
right?
Like when you buy a receiver, it's multi. Like if you bought the SIG Custom Works FCU,
yeah,
would that be considered multi because it's 940 or 3?
It's Monroe County. That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, you might be like technically allowed to do that. That might not be an issue. Mm-hmm. But like if you went to the chick at the county clerk's office and you were like, it's multi-caliber, she's going to be like,
nope,
I've never had to do that before.
You're building
I have no idea, right?
I mean, it's like the same as the 229. If it's in 40, you can put 357 barrel.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the clerk to understand.
Some guy did that with his AR. He was like, so if I want to have a 300, a 5.56, blah, blah, blah. And he listed like 5 or 6 different calibers on his pistol permit. And it got so bad to the point where like the guy who does the guns for Monroe County. I'm drawing a huge blank on his name. Regardless, he got called and had to like talk with him, and they were going to suspend his pistol permit because they were thinking he was up to shiesty stuff. And
it's not.
Lord,
it's normal.
That's wild.
Anyways,
New York.
Yeah. So that would be my answer to Vince. There is, you have to list
them all,
the different calibers, but it'll be the same serial numbers.
I think it'll be fine.
Especially if it's not Monroe.
Yeah. Even if it is Monroe, just try it. Be the test case, please.
You know
Cool.
We'll back you, I promise.
Thank you, Ty. Very cool.
Give FPC something to work with. Who are coming to Freedom Weekend.
Oh, Lord.
June 10th and 11th.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
So Michael asked a little bit earlier ago for his friends with newly acquired pistol permits and pistols. What brand mags should we stay away from? Depends on the gun. I rock a Shadow Systems, so they take Glock mags. I prefer Glock mags for like my carry because Glock mags work really, really well. And I'll go with Magpul, like Glock mags, but I don't love them for concealed carry. I usually use those for training. But even if you get like crappy pro mags, it's nice because if you'll get a malfunction, it's good practice on clearing malfunctions. I would never carry a pro mag.
ETS.
Yeah, God no.
ETS mags I don't have much experience with, but I have not heard as many good things as I've heard bad things.
Yeah.
I've heard way more bad things than good things about their especially their clear polymer Glock mags.
Oh no.
Those seem to be a shit show.
Yeah. Even Magpul Glock mags are not phenomenal.
PMag Glock mags are not my cup of tea.
Training.
I've used them. I still use them. I have a couple kicking around, but yes, I make it a point not to carry my gun with a PMag because in my experience, they don't always lock my slide to the rear when the gun is empty. And if I was holding an empty pistol, I would want to know.
Yeah.
Like before I press the trigger. Again.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I had a weird case with a customer at the counter where he had a 9mm AR.
Yeah.
It was a Foxtrot mic. And it would not lock open on the last round. And what I diagnosed was that it was the 10-round Glock mag had less spring tension.
Yeah.
So
was it a Magpul?
No, it was a Glock mag.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well, their 10-round mags are not great.
But it would lock open with real Glock mags,
right?
Like a full cap that we had in the
standard
in the full cap, full capacity,
full capacity.
Yeah, that we had in one of our rentals. I was like, I put a 17 and a 15, and it worked fine. But weirdly, the 10-round Magpuls did lock that one open.
Huh?
So, they do and they don't. I'm not saying that like it's a hard and fast rule, but just for me, it's been kind of sporadic. I think it has more to do with how dirty the gun is. If the gun is more dirty, I think that it's just, it bees like that sometimes. But with Magpul mags, it seems not to work. And then Pro Mag Glock mags are absolute hot garbage. Yeah, they are very bad. I bought some Pro Mag Glock mags thinking that they would be good because they had the steel liner, unlike the Pro Mag, unlike the Magpul mags. So I thought those were going to be like pretty much as good, but they definitely cost less money for a reason. They're just the magazine body doesn't feel the same as a Glock mag in your hand. When you drop them, the base pads are more prone to coming off and shit like that. It's just not the same quality. So I would say Pro Mags in my experience in general, the Glock mag's really bad, but the rest of their mags not impressive either.
Yeah.
I would say Glock and then Magpul are like the two companies that have experience using polymer enough.
Yeah. I would use either, like, if I found a Magpul mag and I had I wouldn't have an issue, but I
mean,
I don't know. I have enough Glock mags.
Most of mine are Glock mags.
Yeah, I have enough Glock mags where I never have to worry about, I'm not gonna have a carry.
Yeah, with the Glocks, that's the cool thing about shooting 9mm Glocks is like
there's so many mags.
You just have so many mags available, but the mags are not good. On the topic of magazines, SIG, very high quality magazines. Mecgar, who makes OEM mags for multiple different manufacturers and who makes their own offerings, also very high quality. Canik or Janik, very high quality magazines in my experience. And CZ, their mags are really good as well.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Glock mags like are the best just Glock mags.
Yeah, if you have a Glock, you want Glock magazine, you want OEM magazines.
They're not even that expensive. But like Glock mags are like so inexpensive.
But in the world of guns, Glocks are probably still not the best.
That's the one. That's my one qualm is I just want more metal magazine options for Glocks. Like I want metal magazines.
How do you think Lancer, if Lancer were to make a Glock mag, polymer then steel feed lips?
That's an interesting concept. Their advanced warfighter mags have been good to me.
Oh, I love Lancers.
I don't have any problem with Lancer AWMs.
I love Lancer.
Some people
probably have
say they
20
have, but I haven't had.
Yeah, some people say they.
I've heard complaints, but I've never experienced any issues.
Lancer, sponsor us.
I love it.
I will use nothing but Lancer mag.
I pretty much only use Lancer mags.
I am for sale when it comes. No, I'm just I'm for sale when it comes
Lancer,
to
if you sponsor.
Just kidding, not really.
I can't even find Lancer.
They're super hard. Yeah.
I can't even find Lancer on Facebook.
Oh, weird.
I wonder if that's like their. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, bitches, gripes, complaints about the stream?
I had a couple questions.
Okay, please.
We had a Pat, not you, but another Pat asked.
Cool.
In reference to Beyond Driven, he's looking for places to play pickleball. Do they host that or not?
No, definitely not. But that would be a cool idea for the future.
How do college? Can you just because colleges typically will have pickleball and stuff. Can you not be a college student and just go play with college students?
I'd check your local town park too. Some of them do have it.
Huh. Interesting.
I know
pickleball was fun. I loved that unit in gym.
I know in Rush they have the equipment to do it. Like if you want to rent it, kind of thing.
Huh?
They have a spot to set it up.
Neat. Yeah, pickleball is becoming pretty popular. My father-in-law was going nuts with that shit down in Florida. I guess.
We had a unit in that gym at Byron Virgin. I liked it.
It's like tennis but less running.
Yeah. Badminton. Oh, I went so hard. I never tried in gym, but badminton, bro, it was on.
I mean, you've seen Olympic badminton. They go hard.
Dude, Olympic anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
You're
great.
fucking Olympian.
It's so crazy.
Have you seen the Asian small, like the size 3 soccer ball badminton, where they only play soccer rules, so they can only touch it with their feet?
Oh wow.
So they're like constantly doing backflip,
Like bicycle kicks and stuff.
I'll have to find a video to show you guys.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I would probably check that out. That's the only soccer I would watch. The kind where it's over and net all the time.
As an adult, I've gotten into cornhole. I like cornhole. Cornhole's fun.
That game, they need a better name.
It's fun. It's poorly named.
Yeah, I don't know the people that great. Like I couldn't tell you names, but I've been kind of following the ACL lately.
Dude, I have a friend who is like into cornhole to the point where he has multiple sets of like custom bags, and he'll like tag the different companies that like make these. But I think he has like sponsors now.
That's
I think,
cool.
I think like people are sending him like, hey man, you gotta like use our bags. They're the best one.
Cornhole's fun, man.
No, it is. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and people are into it. And the people who are good, man, they are good.
Nothing but
I always
airmails,
preferred
dude.
Can Jam because I'm better at throwing frisbee.
Right.
I like watching Can Jam, but I am ass at Can Jam.
Well, because you got to be able to throw. You got to be really good at throwing a frisbee, and that's like
which is why I like it.
right. That's harder than people
It is
recognize.
hard.
I feel like throwing a frisbee is like an underrated.
Oh yeah, dude, that's hard. Like I suck at throwing frisbees.
Which is why you don't like it. Right. So we're figuring some shit out. If you guys ever want to beat Tyler at something outside,
You don't have to try hard.
challenge him to Can Jams. You'll be
Challenge
all right.
me to probably anything. I'll fall on my face. What are the best Glock mags to get? Is it just
Yeah, OEM ones for
yeah.
sure.
To wrap that up, absolutely.
Yeah, OEM
Metcar
makes-
does not make Glock mags because Metcar only makes metal magazines.
So there's a company, I haven't had a chance to try out any of their stuff. Shield something. There's a company that makes metal
Shield
mags
Arms.
for
They
I thought that's what it
Don't
was.
they
but
make
didn't-
the metal
They make the metal magazine
mag release? Yeah.
They make the relatively less useful to us New Yorkers 15-round magazine for the
For Glock
43X
48.
and
Huh.
48.
Yeah.
Huh.
They also make a 9-rounder for the 43 though, which is kind of nice.
That
Yeah.
is cool.
But you do have to swap out to a metal mag release, or the body will chew up the stock Glock.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but complaints about people who don't.
Yeah.
go
you have
that
to,
route.
You have to do the. Full
I think they were giving out at SHOT Show this year. They were giving out free metal mag releases. At least I hope they were giving them out.
I think they were because they didn't initially, but like
So-
they have metal mag releases.
That
they
might be an
sell,
interesting product to carry.
But people, we
For-
should get the 9-round.
That's
for
that's
free.
the exact with the
Yeah.
metal mag releases as well. I think that people would probably be into that.
I would actually care about the 43 if it had more than 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's such a and like I got big hands, so it's hard
That's
to.
true.
Can you throw me one of those backpackers, Pantry? Speaking of products, we got backpackers Pantry. I don't know if you can see it. Great. We got this in recently. Brandon got some in just for like the employees to kind of try. Well, we had them for sale, but we would try them.
Yeah.
And
That's a mango sticky, right?
yeah, dude.
Oh shit, son.
I'm so impressed with this company. The Wise Food put a bad taste in my mouth for quality of freeze dried, like long-term storage food.
Dude, this backpackers pantry stuff is amazing.
I would straight up have some of these just for dinner. Like, oh, I don't feel like making food.
Like,
I'm just going to
instead
boil
of
water.
having a cup of ramen.
and
Yeah.
so
You have
there's
this.
like it says there's 2 servings in here, right?
This is how many? That's 8 grams of protein. It's just rice.
Serving size is half package, 280 calories in a serving, 570 in the package, and it's only $6.99. So, and
It's
for
good
shelf
density.
stable food, like you can't do much better than that.
It has so many grams of protein.
Right.
They
Lot
have
of
stuff that I
protein.
don't know how. They have like 16 gram protein products. I don't even understand how. There's no meat in it.
Yeah. If you read the
beans.
ingredient list too, like this is way fewer ingredients than you're going to find in a lot of shelf-stable foods.
Granola with bananas or blueberries and milk. It's literally small batch granola, almonds, coconut, bananas, and whole milk. 16 grams of protein.
Dude, that's essentially what I ate for breakfast this morning.
Was it 16 grams of protein?
I hope so.
Jeez.
It better have been.
That's a lot. So I cannot. I'm ranting and raving about Backpackers Pantry because they're awesome. This mango sticky rice, very delicious.
Yeah, I came in here was 2 days ago or yesterday. I came in here and these guys were back here like eating this food, this freeze dried stuff, and I'm like, we live in civilization.
You can just
go
eat
get some food.
You don't know how good it is.
Like, what are we doing? But they were like legitimately enjoying it. So if you guys think that Ty is just like blowing smoke up your butt, he's definitely not.
Not sponsored
These
by them
guys,
at all.
yeah. These guys don't care about us, but we like their stuff. So just so you know.
Any tourniquets in stock? Yes.
Yeah, we'll take a peek for you.
I know Joe got a cool display that came in and he assembled it, and it's a bunch of tourniquet accessories. So we got some SOF tourniquets.
No North American Rescue, but we do have the soft tees.
But I mean, we always try to stock those because, I mean, oh no, it's in my backpack. I took it off for the stream.
What are you doing?
I took it off for the.
Don't worry.
You have one.
Uncle Pat's got you.
I dropped mine today in the store, and it made such a loud noise. And I mean, it's just a tourniquet, but it's always awkward. Like anytime something falls out of my pockets, I'm always like, "Fuck, what was it?"
Because you assume it's like
a baton, a flashlight, a mag, like
ridiculous.
something people are gonna freak out at me for.
Yeah. Did you ever see the video of Bobby Brown dropping cocaine on the stage during a live performance?
What?
When he was with Del Biv DeVoe, yeah. So like they're doing a performance on stage, and he was literally on like live television. I think it was like in living color or something like that. And he dropped a bag of coke and it was like,
yikes!
It was like not a real small bag of coke. Like it was like something.
It was coke.
Like you could see when he picked it up, like it was very nonchalant what he did. But yeah, definitely like dropped actual cocaine on the stage during a live television performance. That's like way different than what you did. It's like way less bad or way more bad.
I don't even want to tell this story on air.
So don't do it.
Yeah, but I will.
Okay.
I'm nervous. I've dropped a firearm in public once. I've told you, like all of you guys know the story.
Okay.
Horrifying. Luckily, like nobody said anything or saw anything. But this is like first week of carrying a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet there's more horror stories like that out there. I bet other people have done something similar to that.
It's like all the firearms that people find in bathrooms because people like
I know, man. That's so wild. How do you like leave the bathroom?
That was like that porta potty where there's a 220 Legion.
I know. This is a really nice gun. And then somebody posted on social media like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Why isn't that buried in your bait?
You're an idiot.
That's a joke.
For legal reasons. All guns should be. The government should know about all of your firearms.
Handled and stuff.
Yeah. Please don't.
Dude.
Yeah. Register your firearms.
Well, maybe not that far.
I'm trying to say whatever will prevent the ATF from killing my dog.
Yeah, you got a cute dog.
I got a really cute dog, and
so
you got a cute dog.
You got a couple cute dogs.
Oh, my dogs, man, they're so cool.
Did you?
Yeah, speaking of, today's my dog Raven's gotcha day. So 2 years ago today is when we like brought her ass home.
Who saved who?
We definitely saved her. She's a fucking she's ridiculous. She jumped out of a second-story window the day after we brought her home.
Think there was a scientist back in the day named Charles Darwin who wrote a lot about that.
I think she would. I think if you sent her out to the wolves, she would come back leading the pack. Like she's dude, she's amazing.
That's awesome.
She hopped my fence. She was home with us for a couple of hours, and we brought her out to the backyard, and she's just chilling with the other dogs for a minute, and then she decides like she didn't want to be there anymore. She just went over the fence and hopped right over it, took off down the road. I spent the whole night driving around like looking for this dog. I get a call or a text message rather at like 6 something in the morning with a picture like, hey, is this your dog? Like, yes, it is. And she was like under the playground at the park down the road from my house. So I like went over there with a leash to try to get her back. And of course, she ended up coming back. I was able to like get her into the car and stuff, but it was ridiculous.
Does she like Nickelback?
No, that was the problem. Somebody was playing Nickelback. She freaked out. Who just said that?
Your wife may have tipped that. Somebody was like, I want to hear a Pat rant. She's like asking about Nickelback.
So rant.
I mean, fuck them. They're Canadian. I don't do as many good rants anymore, man. I'm a little bit more relaxed. I don't know.
You know how I aspire to be? Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon is
his
good
rants,
ranter,
bro.
Man.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
No, he's very good. But like the problem with doing a rant like that is at some points you have to say a bunch of shit that you don't actually believe.
Yeah, you just have to like drone off.
Start saying things.
But it left your mouth on the internet and
right. And then so imagine if I just started saying things. That's gonna end in tears.
But everybody knows that like Tim Dillon is a comedian and he's being funny. So he's just talking shit.
So
I mean, you say that everybody knows that, but I don't.
People cry.
I don't think that the government necessarily knows that. Like, I think if he said the wrong thing during one of his rants, if he just let it go, I think he could get his house raided just by doing a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, I think that's like where we're at.
Yeah.
Like any one of us, I think, is ultimately subject to that in a lot of ways too, which really sucks, man, because
we're just civs, man. We're just hanging out, having a good time. Like I don't think any of us, wants to cause any actual trouble. And like, I'm not saying like we would snitch or anything, but like if there was somebody in our friend group that's very into like guns the way we are, and they were definitely up to some nefarious things, we would definitely like see that and do something about that. Like as a group, you know what I mean?
I'm definitely not gonna. I don't involve myself with people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just we live in a really weird time.
So, Ty, do we have Freedom Weekend flyers?
We do. I think they're behind you on that desk. If you could grab one for me, please.
Who printed those out for us?
Terzo Printing.
Of course.
Who but?
Well, there's one other place the place where our buddy Phil works.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that too.
That's why because there's a couple of different.
These are the rough ones, but these will probably be up at small businesses before you know it.
So with Freedom Weekend, I got an interesting question, and I actually didn't see anything on there about food. Am I blind?
Chicken Out fundraiser for FPC.
So is Chicken Out doing all of the food? Are we doing just the Chicken Out fundraiser thing? Or are we doing? Because I know there was a year that we had food trucks.
Yeah. So this year,
I know there was a year we had the Stone Fire Grill outside.
We're selling tickets. We need to start doing that like before the fire.
Right. So they're doing all of the food for everybody.
No, we're doing it in a way, but we're selling tickets. So the only way you're going to get Chicken Out is if you buy a chicken ticket, and that's going to go towards FPC.
Chicken tickets.
Chicken Out, if you don't know what it is some of the best chicken you will ever get.
Oh, dude, I am 100% getting my chicken tickets. Like my whole family, we're getting.
They're expensive. That is like the only con of Chicken Out.
Shit.
But it is. But you get whole breast. It's not like when the first time I saw the price, I'm like, that's what it is. And I was expecting to get like a chicken strip. No, it's like a whole breast. But it is, dude, very few people are that impressive with just seasoning. And
dude, it takes a lot to get me excited about chicken breast. Chicken breast is just not that. Like, ask my wife what my reaction is to chicken breast when she tells me that's what she's making for dinner. I'm like, awesome. Thank you. I do say thank you. But Not my jam, right?
So yeah,
but their food is very good.
That's what we're doing for Freedom Weekend. I think it's going to be Saturday on Sunday, but Sunday is going to be the raffle day. We're still in the raffle talks. So there's still a few things. We're still hammering finer details out, but we got a couple more sponsors. I'm excited. This Freedom Weekend is going to be awesome. We were kind of talking about where we can have vendors because if you don't know, half of the building is gone now, including the range. It's all cleaned out. They're concrete, but it's so weird to see it. I actually walked down to the back of the range a couple days ago, and I saw a graffiti on the very back of it that said, Tyler was here, 11/17/2013. I'm just like, aw, I did that.
That was like baby Tyler.
Yeah. I was still in high school, graduated in 2014. Wow. So yeah, Freedom Weekend is going to be great. I want to kind of put vendors in the half building we have. I think that would be fun, like on the concrete.
Well, I think it would give them at least some protection from potential wind and sun.
Rain and sun.
Stuff like that.
The only drawback I have on that is it's not going to look cool for drone shots. But
I'll have to see how it goes.
I think that's pretty good idea, though, to make some use of that space.
This is our 9th Freedom Weekend, but I'm kind of looking at it as our first Freedom Weekend because we don't have the best footage from our previous eras. So I'm trying to hit all of the pictures.
Well, and this is a totally different, with Josh being gone and everything, and you kind of taking the reins on running Freedom Weekend.
So I'm scared. Horrifying.
Well, I mean, it's a big job, and obviously Josh did a great job.
He did amazing
many years.
That's why it's scary. I have shoes to fill.
Yeah, for sure.
It's my first time doing anything like this too.
Yeah, but I mean, there's kind of I don't want to say a blueprint in place or a template, but you understand what needs to happen.
I've worked them. I've helped do a little bit of the planning, so I know a rough template. But this is my first time doing everything. The pickle guy should be coming. I was actually just thinking about him yesterday.
Pickle guy.
Yeah.
Never had the pickle guy's pickles.
I don't think so, but I'm excited.
There's a local guy that does phenomenal pickles. Supposedly, I don't really like pickles.
You guys have no idea how much I like good. It has to be a good pickle.
Has to be a good one.
Has to be
I don't like.
I like
store,
spicy pickles.
I don't love store-bought ones, but I like good ones.
Try Sucker Punch brand pickles.
Okay.
They have a very good.
Not a pickle guy. I think pickles ruin everything.
You're insane.
The juice gets on your chips. It gets on your fries. It ruins everything.
You're out of your mind.
I don't like pickles.
You just drain.
Dude, it adds a whole nother dimension to a sandwich. Talk to us about pickles, guys. If you have any comments.
We want to hear about your pickles.
Whoa.
Not that way. Your pickles.
Let's put a quick caveat on there.
Anyways, next topic.
Your pickled cucumbers.
Yes.
Your pickled cucumbers.
Nobody's tickling anything. Let's get that.
You brought that into the conversation. I had nothing to do with pickles.
You said, let me see your pickles.
I said, let me hear about your pickle.
Yeah. Do you know these weirdos? You know who these people are?
Anyways, Spotify for podcasters.
Yeah, Spotify for podcasts.
We're going to lose our sponsorship. Oh, no.
We just lost them all.
No, that's not
Brandon,
true.
where were you?
That's not true. They talk about way worse stuff on Spotify.
That's true. Dude, speaking of Spotify, I was listening to the JRE earlier. We're going to have to talk about that later.
Which one?
The Pauly Shore one?
No, I didn't know he did that. When was that? Is it
might have just came out today or yesterday.
Huh.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
I mean, that whole his mom is the reasons we have so many amazing comedians.
They would talk about that a little
I'm
bit.
sure. How could they not?
Right.
There was something I wanted to ask you, and I'm drawing a blank. It was during all the pistols.
Did have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim about any word about how the auction went?
Yeah, the auction went okay. I mean, obviously, you're not going to make. If we were to sell all of those guns retail, we would have made more. But there would have been no other way for us to sell that amount of inventory that quick.
And how do you price in smoke damage?
Yeah,
we just had to get rid of it.
Yeah,
we couldn't physically keep it.
Yeah, so
you couldn't even have it. You can't even have it all in one place. Well, yeah. First of all, having it, but then the whole place smells like fire.
Yeah.
Because if one person is asking about a firearm that they purchased and the smell of fire being on that, multiply that by whatever, right? And then put it in a 600 square foot space. You guys would be miserable.
I mean, I already can't smell smoke.
Nightmare.
People still come in the building and they're like, oh man, it smells like smoke. I'm like,
yeah, doesn't it?
I can't tell.
I must be desensitized to it as well then.
I think it's gotten better too, but
probably
especially initially.
It's one of the,
I bet the first couple.
One of the little hidden benefits of all of this is I smoke. The smell of smoke was not a good smell for me.
Right.
And now I'm just so jaded to it that I'm just like, oh. But if I smell it like out of context, like I'm sitting in my living room, obviously I'm losing my mind.
So yeah, like obviously, like this is off the gun topic again. So sorry guys.
That's the stream.
But yeah, this stream is kind of like that. But on that note, so I was talking to your mom like the day of the fire.
Yeah.
A little bit. And so it came up, she was like, you know, standing over here off to one side where I was kind of hanging out, and she was so concerned about you. And she was like, I'm really worried about Ty. And I was like, why? And she said, well, because for him to be here and be exposed to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure a lot of other people were kind of curious about this at various points.
For a lot of people talk to me about it.
But like, so to me, right, I was standing there and I'm watching the same thing that your mom is watching. And I'm looking at it from a totally different perspective. I'm like, dude, this is like years of therapy in like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're getting exposed to all of that same stuff, right? The heat, the smoke.
Yeah.
There's people here. Like you
the
had
chaos.
There's chaos of trying to get everybody out of the building, right? But totally different outcome, right?
I'm not waking up in a coma.
You're not
blah,
right,
blah, blah.
And you get to be like the hero in this story in the way of like you were there, the manager, you're in charge. You get to get everybody out of the building, right? Everybody's safe.
Yeah,
you're safe, and now you're getting to like help. You're getting to like be part of the help, like after the fact too. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're smelling the smoke. You're seeing the fire. You're feeling a little bit of the heat because we're going closer to the build to like get stuff out. So, like, I guess for like the people that are watching this, wondering why I'm even talking about it. What was it more? What do you think? Was it more like traumatic? Do you think, or do you think it was more like opening a door to like getting past some of that stuff?
So yeah, like kind of what you're saying, like I was able to see another outcome of being involved with a fire that I obviously have only had extremely negative, experiences with.
Right. So now it's a totally different.
So that was nice. But like, so when the fire happened, I've always kind of like, if you know me, I have a really broad sense of humor, and that's kind of like my healing is making jokes out of my traumatic incidences.
Sure.
And I've always been saying, like, if there's ever a fire, guys, like, don't expect to see me. I'm not saving you. You're on your own. Like, as a joke. So when that did happen and we heard,
it was not a joke.
Yeah, it was not a joke. I grabbed my laptop, that's what I was working on. I said, guys, I'm getting out. I'm calling 911. I cannot be in another fire.
To be fair, like I've said before, you say that like, I left the fire, but you did something important.
Yeah,
you said
somebody has to call 911.
I'm calling 911, and
right. So
which I only thought about that because of like shooting. Like you always the start of a class, like who's calling 911? Your designated 911 caller. This is the address. There was a gun training incident, like all of that stuff. But
no, so that was. I'm sure that other people were kind of wondering about that same thing, like what it did, because it affects all of us in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so I can kind of relate because like, I've heard it said before, like you don't know how you're going to react in any given situation until you're in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there might be some truth to that in a way, but I also feel like it's kind of bullshit, right? And I can give you like an example. Right? If somebody walked through that door right now behind Joe and started pointing a gun at people, I'm not like overly concerned about what I would do in that situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like wondering like, am I going to react appropriately, or am I going to run in the opposite direction, or am I going to
position and cry
panic? Right? Am I going to totally like shut down? I can say with reliable, like I can say with certainty, I'm not going to shut down.
But you're also planning for that event. This is like a completely like random, like you have no choice but getting thrust into it. Like, I mean, you're wandering in the woods and a bear shows up.
Yeah, of course. But like fire emergencies, we've been training for those since we were kids, right? Stop, drop, roll.
I did, and I still went in.
No, exactly. So
granted, it was to get somebody out.
So I would say that you responded appropriately, even though you responded against the training that you were given, where you were supposed to get away. You're like actually going to try to help people.
Yeah.
And I think in that situation, it was more appropriate. And I think in the situation that you were in here with the fire, I think that you handled that very appropriately as well. And I think that, to me, what that showed is that the next time, like, I'm not concerned about whether or not you're going to respond appropriately, because I think that you're always going to be able to do that now, because you've proven to yourself that you can do it. You know what I'm saying? I think once you prove to yourself that you can do it, then you're going to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mindset too.
Right.
People are so like, I get it. It's the unknown, but I always told myself I hoped that I wouldn't freak out and that I would just do what needed to be done, so I did, and the other guys did too. So not going into it going, oh, what if I don't?
Yeah.
Like just going into it like, well, I know what I would want to do.
These are the appropriate things that I have to do.
That I should do.
Yeah, there's a task, there's a job, there's something that needs to get done.
I mean,
and that's
so like it just goes back to like you guys know Carrie Trainer on Instagram?
No.
So there's this guy Mickey something or another on Instagram, and he has this acronym that he uses that I really, really like. WIN. Whiskey India November. What's important now?
Yeah.
And like you can apply that to almost any situation.
Literally anything.
And like if you just think about what's important now, what is the next action or set of actions that I need to be taking right now to ensure the best possible outcome, right? If you can do that. And so I think, like, to your point of having a plan, I think just being able to ask yourself that simple question is the building block for a plan, or starting point for a plan. Just being able to like mentally reset yourself and evaluate what's the most important thing right now. And we talk about it in the USCCA First Aid Fundamentals class, like when you are about to help another person who has experienced some sort of emergency, whether it's a medical event or some sort of catastrophe, it's like what level of risk would I be putting myself into if is it more important for me to try to move this person get out of here, or try to move this person from this situation that they're in, or like what's the most important step that I can take right now that's going to get me closest to the desired outcome?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you just learn how to do that in an emergency situation, easy to say, tough to do maybe for most people who have never been like inoculated to that kind of like stress. I think that's an important thing too. So that's one of the reasons I push training all the time.
Because that's a learned mindset. Like your options are, you can be a soup sandwich and disintegrate, or you can like assess a scene and figure it out as quick as possible. And
it's like learning how to do better.
And training gives you a fallback of practice,
a muscle reflex and stuff.
Right. A lot of people think that they're going to rise to an occasion when it happens. I would say that you're going to fall back to your lowest level of training.
Yeah,
right? So whatever you can do at a subconscious level, that's what you're going to do.
Your little lizard brain.
Right. If all you can do at a subconscious level is cry like a bitch, then you're going to cry like a bitch. Right. That's what you're going to do.
Like nothing that I did when the fire happened was anything I haven't done before in various jobs and various reasons. It was on different circumstances, different scale.
Right.
But it's all things I've done.
And now you've done it on a different stage. And now, so you kind of have an understanding of like, hey, if I was in this situation again, like to me, I think about the first time that I figured out I was like good in an emergency right? And some people are good in emergency and some people are not. But the first time I figured out I was like good is when I was at home with my mom when I was younger, and she was closing the door, and the door sweep had a sharp edge on it, and the door sweep rode over her big toe. Ugh. And it like filleted the top portion of her big toe. So she was, I mean, like leaking.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Freaking
I was a
out.
child, you know what I mean? I'm like 10, 11 years old, something like that. And she's like applying manual pressure to this wound, trying to stop the bleeding. It is not working with just manual pressure. Like this is bad. And so she's like, I need you to help me. She's like yelling, and I'm like in my room. And she's like, Patrick. And I came out and I was like, what's up? And she's like bleeding. And she's like, I need you to help me. And so I went and I got like some stuff to like put some right. And so we did the stuff that we had to do. And then we got her, she drove to the hospital and everything like that. But like, that was the first time that I figured out like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like if something bad happens and another person is panicking, then I don't have to also panic. And or if somebody else needs help, I can like help them and I'm not gonna like freak out.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that was really like that early experience just kind of set a stage for me to like feel comfortable and competent when things would start to.
It's important.
Right. So my blood pressure would stay like relatively low in like those bad situations, whereas other people maybe they do or maybe they don't.
I want to add that like when I did call 911, I was definitely like, I called 911, but I don't think they got anything out of the call other than 8240 Buffalo Road and fire. They
Those
were
are
like,
the two most important things.
They were asking me questions. Is everybody out? How many people are in the building? I don't fucking know. Like, so I'm happy Paulie from Rafa like came out to check on me and literally took my phone for me and handled that call. And then of course I went to the grass, and the first like 30 minutes of the fire was awful. Like that was like years of therapy, just like flush down the toilet.
Yeah.
And I'll just never forget like the boys just coming up and giving me a hug. We all definitely shed a couple tears. And I was just like, fuck, man.
I mean,
we got work to do.
Sitting in the grass looking at our workplace burning.
Yeah. There was that moment of just watching, like, yeah. God damn it.
Like, there's literally nothing to be done, right? Except
but then,
sit there and
I don't know. You got to fucking buckle down and, all right, we got shit to do.
Keep on keeping on, man. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I was so, like, that's what I was watching. When I saw you, like, you were just doing what you had to do as, like, the guy who's in charge of the store and Brandon wasn't here. And so your mom was like very concerned initially, and I was like, I don't think you're looking at it from the right perspective. I think the perspective you need to see it from is maybe over here a little bit. And when I was able to like share that with her, first of all, it made her like really
it helped her.
And so I felt good about that. But also like, you know, I think it kind of changed just her perspective there about like, hey, you know, just because you've been through a bad thing doesn't necessarily mean that bad thing is then going to define all sorts of other stuff, right? Like you just got to keep doing what
just
you got
because
to
you
do.
have a bad first go of it doesn't mean you can never have a good.
Right. We can all learn and overcome and whatever. So good job.
Oh, thanks.
So did anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback about what we were talking about earlier or anything? I guess anything.
So kind of piggybacking off of what we were talking about with emergencies, situations, response.
Sure.
Matt asked, most of the guys have tactical and survival gear. What do you guys have for your significant others and or children?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's a great question. So
I will just say, without getting too far into the weeds here, my family all had, I would have enough guns if I needed like a gun. If you're asking about guns, I would have enough guns to go around.
But you have like you have kind of adult children where
they're sort of
like even your youngest can
he's 14, so he can. He's old enough to
countries are using way younger.
I was gonna say, if we needed to press him into service, we could do that.
Stasman AK, I hear they're good for that.
Right. So I mean, but as far as I think it's important to make sure that everybody in your family has what they need,
absolutely,
and it has their bases covered, right?
Something that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, firearms for sure. For people who are old enough are a consideration. I would say even more so than that, though. Like having a plate carrier for people who are big enough to wear them is possibly it might be a good idea. I don't know. I would rather have a plate carrier and not need,
even if they're not fighting. I want them to have something. Just you never know.
Ballistic threats aside, there are other reasons why you want your vital organs to be protected. Right?
Yeah, even freak accidents, explosions from a car.
There's a lot of different
sending
weird
debris
things that can
to your
happen.
chest.
So I would say that it's definitely important to have all of those sorts of things. And what's most important in emergencies realistically, like food, water, medical supplies, things of that nature, right? I would say that those are going to be the things that you want to make sure you have for everybody across the board, as far as emergency supplies and stuff like that. And as far as tactical gear, if you have kids that are old enough to start learning, then it may be time to start teaching them if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily a one size fits all solution. But in my situation, I find that more information is better for my family than less.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, my lady and I we're getting married later this year. So I'm slowly getting her on the bandwagon of getting ready to prepare for stuff. That's such a dirty word, preppers, prepare. It has such a negative connotation.
But does it though? Because there's so many other ways that we want to be prepared. We go to work and we have an emergency evacuation plan for how we're going to get people
food
out
and stuff.
Right. We have food on hand in case the power goes out or emergency services can't get to us.
Yeah.
We have water. We have maybe the ability to purify water. We have medical supplies. We have all of these different things. We have a way to make fire. We have all of these different things. Why? Because there are emergencies that happen. So you don't get to control the bad things that happen to you.
You get stuck in your car in a winter storm.
Right?
You can just be ready for it.
That's kind of the mindset that I have a hard time breaking down some of those barriers, I think. Because to me, it's I don't get to choose any of the bad things that are going to happen. I just have to try to be ready for as many of them as I can.
A lot of people just don't even think about the bad. Oh, that's fine. We live in civilization.
But they'll. Here's the thing. Maybe in her case specifically,
not even talking about her, just in general. There's people that remain as a generalization.
But then, if you ask those people how they feel about gun control, a lot of those people would say that they need gun control because AR-15s are everywhere
and they're killing children.
Going to be mass shootings all day, every day. So, which is it? Are there going to be mass shootings all day, every day, and we need to get rid of all the guns, or is mass shootings or active killer events or something like that something you don't have to be worried about, so you don't have to prepare for it at all? Because those two things can't both be true at once. Yeah. And that's one of the things that drives me crazy about people is I understand holding two thoughts in your head at the same time, but I can't understand having two competing ideas both be true at the same time.
A lot of people don't ever think about them at the same time.
Well, they should.
They should.
But they should think about the stupid shit they're saying in conjunction with reality at the same time. That would be my suggestion.
But there will always be people like David Hogg.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
But he doesn't have to worry. He's his situation, I don't know.
But he survived an active killer event.
Was he actually at the school though? I remember him I
think he was
ditching school that day, and he was driving by.
Or was his sister there?
I can't remember.
That's a weird situation.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to get
honestly. I don't know.
I don't want to get called out for lying to people or whatever. But let's just say that he's alive.
Yeah,
right.
He's and regardless, he survived a traumatic, fucked up event.
Right. And when those situations end, they always end because of one thing. They end because somebody else who has a gun shows up.
Yeah.
right? Whether somebody turns himself in, whether somebody kills themselves, or whether somebody gets a
gun is involved, no matter what, in stopping that.
There's always going to be a gun that has to stop it. So you're not going to stop it by any other means, like at all.
And just to tangent, people are asking about legality of armor in New York.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's not illegal to possess. It's illegal to purchase.
It's illegal to purchase now here within New York State, unless you fall within certain categories. Of course, there's always these carve-outs and these...
Unless you're above the law.
Exemption. Yeah, but you know what's fucked up? Is we actually fall into one of those exemptions because we work for an establishment that sells body armor.
But the shitty thing about that is no body armor company will sell to us. Like us as distributors, I've run into problems with there is not a single body armor company, because I've reached out to dozens, that will sell to a dealer in New York State.
Right.
They won't even touch it.
Which I understand from a business perspective, but it does suck.
You can't be in the business of freedom if you don't support freedom.
That's the thing that I don't understand is so many of these companies, they beat their chest and they claim
like PSA
that they're Second Amendment supporters or whatever. Well, then support the Second Amendment in its entirety. Because
why can't I buy a PSA?
Looking at you, Palmetto State Armory.
Why can't I buy one without magazines? Because it doesn't come.
They won't even send you a dagger with no mags.
No,
you can't even buy.
You can't buy a stripped AR loader.
Well, that's been the truth for a long time, and they were like one of the. I want to say the last companies, but obviously we can still get lowers. But like there are other companies that wouldn't sell shit like that to us way before them. Mm-hmm. So
and it's weird because they were prioritizing orders to like Washington before their laws went into effect. So it felt weird for them to be like.
And didn't they hop on the California magazine situation?
They were selling
hardcore.
It feels weird to be in New York.
That's what I've been saying. It feels like we're abandoned here.
Nobody gives a shit about New York, man. It is really bad.
FPC does, man. I mean,
they do now.
We're flying them out and stuff.
I love that. Hey, whatever.
They're willing to come out here and talk with us and let us know. So I'm just very excited about that.
Also, I've said it before. I've reached out to instructors and asked them to come out here and do stuff for us, and they won't.
Real quick, for JT's talk about people that won't send ammo to New York, Lucky Gunner does understand the process to send to an FFL, so they're easy to deal with.
Lucky Gunner's a great company in general.
They make great YouTube videos.
Dude, the Lucky Gunner Labs, I steer people to that all the time. Still.
You steered me to that.
Can you show a link in there?
Yeah. You steered me to Lucky Gunner Lab, and I educate I'll tell you what to buy, but do your own research. Don't listen. I'm just some schmuck. Right.
So for those of you guys who don't know what Lucky Gunner Labs is, let's start with who Lucky Gunner. So Lucky Gunner is a company that sells ammunition, and they also do a wealth of provide a wealth of knowledge about ammunition types and calibers and different things like that. They write articles and they do video content, and it's really awesome stuff because you get a much deeper understanding of what ammunition will do and what it won't do, particularly from Lucky Gunner Labs. So people would come in here all the time when I started doing the sales thing, and they would want to know, what ammunition should I buy? What should I carry? And, I can tell you what I like, and I can tell you what's out there, and I can show you a bunch of different options. One of the most important things is for you to understand what your demands are for your ammunition, and then understand what is out there that kind of fits into that category, right? Yeah. So Lucky Gunner Labs, if you go on there and you take a look, they do the testing.
Like they take the scientific method and they apply it hard to gun. Like borderline should be in a printed science. You know what I mean? Like it's peer reviewed science.
It's done. The thing I like about it is it's done all to the FBI standards as far as their testing. I don't necessarily think the FBI standards are perfect, but it's most standardized. Everything is the same, right? So we're using a 72-degree environment. We're using the same humidity. We're using 4 layers of fabric
out of this barrel length.
Out of this barrel length. at a distance of 10 yards into bare gelatin and then gelatin covered with 4 layers of fabric. It's all very documented and well established how it's going to be done. And so all the ammunition gets treated the same, and it all has an equal chance to pass the testing or fail the testing or and they show you all the results. They show you the video, they show you the blocks, they show you the bullets, right?
And they do an average, like 5 shots.
And they shoot 5 rounds as well. So it's not like 1 round did this. It's like 5 bullets, and guess what? All the bullets look the same. Now, granted, they're going to be from the same lot, and they were manufactured on the same day and probably in the same run, or whatever. So we get it.
On 3, what do you carry in your gun? All right. Barnes Tech XPD. Josiah.
Hornady. What's it? Critical defense.
Critical defense. All right.
Okay, so
Tech
the
XPD
difference between the critical duty and the critical defense, for people that don't know, critical duty is usually plus P ammo. Critical defense is going to be your standard.
Yeah, I started carrying critical defense 115 grain because during the ammo shortage, the only FMJ I could get was 115 grain, and I just wanted same.
Yeah.
Your stuff. I have thought about it. I have thought about switching it up, but I also have a bunch of it, so
Yeah, my knock on Tech XPD is when I look at the Lucky Gunner Labs testing, I didn't see the expansion that I wanted, and so I would always kind of steer people away from that.
I like the
penetration was good.
Tech XPD, it just so reliably expands. That was a big turn on for me.
So Tech XPD, everything made by Barnes is super uniform.
Profile to the bullet, so that's my one concern with critical defenses. It's a more conical taper as opposed to a rounded nose.
Yeah, it's got a way more aggressive like ogive taper to the nose, and so
if I could get Black Hills, I would probably carry that, but that's hard to get.
I don't think I've really ever put my hand on like Black Hills 9.
It's hard, or Underwood. Black Hills and Underwood make good stuff, but I can't find it.
On the topic of ammo and stuff, I'm really sad that in the fire that I had at my apartment, I lost like a box of Black Talon 45s and
oh, dude, that's like
it hurts so bad. Like full box intact.
Never be able to get that again in your life.
Sucks.
Black Talon 45. That's like
I will forever be chasing that.
So crazy that they made that shit illegal because of the Lubalox coating.
Yeah. So Winchester just released the Rangers, and it's the same thing.
Right. Just no coating.
No coating. Okay. Owen asks, "What's the flex lock on the Hornady critical duty?" I think he's talking about the little eraser material in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so in New York and other like cold cities, states, even countries. You're typically wearing like several layers of clothing. And if your hollow point ever gets clogged with cloth, drywall, whatever, it's no longer going to be a hollow point, and it's going to pass through and through like a full metal jacket would be. So that little rubber eraser material is just to help prevent it from clogging and acting like a hollow point.
The problem is that it's already clogged.
Yeah, it's already clogged. It's not reliable.
We try to prevent the problem by creating the problem.
Yeah.
So I think the real workaround would be like just a little bit of epoxy, just a tiny just paint over the top. You know what I mean? Or a little hard plastic shell, though, doesn't work in semi-autos because of feed ramps and shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same material they use for their lever evolution.
Yeah, except with that, you get more of a tip.
It's something. Yeah. It's a technology that they like, I guess.
It's just, but if you look at like retrieve bullets, even the bullets retrieved from our backstop and shit, they never open up at all. They just don't open. And like,
you're also missing a part. Like, there's just something about liquid tissue and stuff that reacts different than rubber.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe somebody should try testing it in like a goat or like a
dead or alive. Like, or just,
dude, they did that back in the day.
Are we icing a goat for science?
Like old Cold Steel videos where they cut the pig and everything.
Yes. Yeah. They still do that on. There's some television program that me and April. Forged in Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll take a pig and hang it.
It's already dead.
Yeah, got it. But like,
so we're not killing pigs.
It's a test medium.
I'm just saying,
catching feral hogs.
The world has plenty of pigs. I'm just saying, maybe too many.
That's probably facts.
Right. Maybe too many pigs. I'm just saying.
Let's see. There was a question about pepper spray. We do have.
We
Pepper
do.
Spray in
We do
stock.
have pepper spray. Yep. And pepper spray is a good option for people that are looking for something less lethal, for sure.
I just like to remind everybody that if you're going to use pepper spray, you're going to get a little bit of taste of pepper spray. Like,
Yeah, I would say pepper spray is one of those things where there is some training available out there, and a lot of people aren't aware that there's training out there. And if you're not properly trained to use it, it's one of those things where it can be a definite asset, but that asset can turn into a liability pretty quick.
fast. That's like
I
anything.
would not.
It's
feel-
almost anything. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people carry pepper spray with less training than they do for a firearm, and I feel more comfortable carrying a firearm than I do pepper spray just because I don't have the training and reps on it.
Yeah, I just think there's so many different things that can go wrong, and there might be a place where you don't want to deploy pepper spray that you haven't thought about,
like
right?
a subway car,
or in your. I'm saying in your
in a
own vehicle. Let's say that somebody's in your own vehicle, like trying to, like you're getting in with you just at the grocery store, trying to get in your vehicle,
Or at least if you have the training, you would know what to expect from being in the same space.
and you might also know what options are available in terms of different products.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, some products put out more of like a stream. Some products put out more of like a mist kind of deal. Some are a gel, right? So you might not want to deploy all of those the same in different environments, right?
Yeah.
So those are different things that like you have to account for and you can only do it in training, I think. You can only do it by
I want a one-size-fits-all solution that I could buy and never train with.
Don't we all? Wouldn't that be so
It
cool?
would be great if that existed.
Just stay in virtual reality.
I would be happy to be out of a job if there was just like one gun that like, hey, you can buy this gun and no matter what happens, you'll be fine.
Practice.
Right? Like you never actually have to train or learn. There's nothing to know. Nobody has to help you. That would be great. I'd happily be out of a job.
But it doesn't exist.
But it's not the case.
I like to eat, so
Yeah, but I can find other shit to do.
I don't want to do anything.
That's fair.
Very fortunate to find like a dream job out of high school.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very lucky for that.
I really like being in this space and in this industry. I think it's really cool. Obviously I do other stuff too to keep the lights on and whatever, but I don't mind. I don't even mind that either because I like having a real job to do in a way. You know what I mean?
I mean, having people point a gun at me every day isn't the best, but
yeah,
that's why you train how to look for guns. And
yeah, the gun counter gets kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't trust everybody the same way I do like Pat.
Yeah, I mean, everybody I work with, I trust implicitly. Yeah. You taught me, like, if you shot me, I expect it was on purpose.
Right.
Like, I know my friends are not shooting me on accident.
Right. Like when Pat talked earlier about, like, oh, if somebody came up and was pointing guns at people, I would know what to do. I know that if I saw Pat draw a gun and point it past me, I would be like, yeah, there's somebody that needs shooting. I'm going to duck.
I'm just going to, like, stay out of his way.
Nowhere.
Yeah. But that, like... But that was that training helpful when you just started that like PowerPoint I made on how to work a gun counter? Because it's probably stuff you already were doing, but
I mean, it's always good. I mean, it's good to have a standardized training.
Yeah, there really isn't one. Like the second that door opens, you need to see exactly what's in that person's hand. Because I'm not saying that they're gonna like shoot the place up, but if there's a gun out of a case and the action's closed, I'm horrified.
Okay, so this is actually an interesting topic to get into. Like, let's say that somebody was coming through the doorway, like it's just a typical day. At
Not
the
even
gun
nefarious,
counter.
just walking in.
Everything is cool, right? But somebody just when they walk through the door, my thing that I do, I'm just gonna say real quick what I do, and then I got to run to the men's room. But I want you guys to kind of we'll do this first. So. When I see somebody coming through, the first thing that I am paying attention to is I'm looking at what they're wearing, right? I'm looking at like, the whole
of course,
picture,
judging.
right? Because unfortunately, we are creatures of judgment, right? And when we see somebody, we're able to make certain judgments about who they are and what they might be up to. Like, for example, when somebody comes in wearing the office, like a police officer's uniform, I generally assume that they're here on some sort of official business, right? Well, I just generally assume that they're here on some sort of working capacity, right?
Different than if somebody walks in with a ski mask in 2023.
Yeah. So when people were walking through with masks, right, when people were coming in with masks, that became a little bit more difficult because ordinarily if somebody just came in and they had a mask on, I'd be like, oh, good, this is about to get spicy, right?
I like spice.
But like now everybody has a mask on, or not now, but you know what I'm saying? At that point in time. So first thing I'm doing is I'm making an evaluation of like the whole big picture thing, right? Next thing I'm doing is I'm looking at the face.
What's their demeanor?
Demeanor, disposition, what do they want? Right? All of that kind of stuff. Are they looking at me like real hard and aggressive? Are their eyes like all over the place? Right? These are things that you can tell. And then the next thing I'm looking for is I want to see two hands, right? And I want to see what's in the hands. Why? Because the hands are the things that are most likely to fucking hurt me, right? They're most likely to have something in them that could potentially hurt me. So that's kind of the process that I'm doing, right? When I'm seeing other people either at work or not at work, I'm kind of looking at like big picture. What are they wearing? What does that tell me about what's going on? And then I look at their face, demeanor, disposition. What does that tell me about what they want and what they're looking at, and what's important to them, and then how they're feeling also. And then I look at hands because obviously, like, if I can't see your hands, then
the threat is there. A potential threat.
You never know, right? Like, I want to know why I can't see your hand. I might keep digging for more information, right? So those are some of the evaluative things that I just do as a habit. Yeah. And I wonder if you guys at work have your evaluative things that you're doing too to try to figure out what's going on. But like, is there anything that you do out in the world, or is there?
When I'm behind the counter, that's the most, like, I never really interact with a gun outside of the world unless it's myself or a friend comes over and we're talking. At the gun counter, like, the second that door rings, it's Pavlov's dog. Like, I'll be working with a customer.
But let's not, we're not even talking about like guns specific. I'm just saying, like, in general, if you're just evaluating
those are two different conversations though. Like when I'm out to eat, like Victoria automatically knows, like, I want the seat looking at the door because I'm armed, and if anything happens, like, I want to be able to get her out and myself out.
There's certain situational awareness
things
that you're
like
doing.
The gun counter, like the training on that.
Yeah, so we'll do those separately then,
because those are both very different and important conversations
for sure. But most people that are watching this probably don't work the gun.
Yeah.
Right? So
but they're in a gun shop. If you're in a gun shop, like, what to look out for as well.
You're going to want to know. Yeah, because it's going to be common for people to come in holding a gun at that point, right?
I'm not inherently scared of you holding a gun. It's what's the status of the gun?
Where's it pointed? Right.
There are many people that don't own both a gun case and a chamber flag, and that makes it tricky.
Yeah, because they'll have the gun in a case, or they'll have the gun with a chamber flag, but not necessarily both.
Well, I'm saying the amount of people that have neither.
They have not. They just walk in with a gun.
Too high.
Yeah, no. And some people will walk in with the gun pointed in a wildly inappropriate direction. Straight.
Like, what are you doing?
They just hold it like they're holding a loaf of bread. It's weird. Like, that is not an inert object, sir.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You should control that.
Yeah.
Just hold it.
Yeah, somebody have control.
And cases are a threat too, because some people leave their guns completely loaded in cases, and that's why I told you guys, like if you're at the counter, I'm not being a dick, but I want control. I want control of your gun case the second you bring it up there. Like, I will take it from you and spin it, because I have no idea what's in that case.
Right. You don't know what's coming
out
there when it gets opened up.
Yeah, I trust myself.
This thing, it's like, let me open it for you.
Yeah. So, like, again, if you ever walk into a gun shop and you have a gun case, just let them deal with it.
See, I used to do it a little different. I would always say, like, can you go ahead and open it up for me? But like, if they just like started opening it up, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. Let me take that.
Keep that closed for a minute.
Let me clear that.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a problem with somebody opening the case as long as it's like, I have vision and they've stated
I can stop it real quick.
And they've stated that they're going to open it, why they're going to open it.
Yeah. But I still don't trust it until I've personally clear it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, as Joe said in the chat, like, people, when they take out their concealed carry, like, they're talking like, oh, I have this Smith & Wesson shield, and they're sitting there pulling it out. Like, whoa, stop. Stop. Like, Is that loaded? Please don't take out your CCW at the counter.
If it's your CCW, I hope it's loaded.
Yes.
And stop.
Like, or have the conversation. Don't just whip it out. Like, can I take this out? Or how about you go outside and clear it first, then bring it to me? Like,
yeah. So I wasn't gonna bring this up at all, but like I'm going to now because you opened a can of worms.
Incident here?
No, it was recently. I think you might have been here when I was talking about. I had a meeting with like another like instructor type guy, and he's doing like New York State pre-permit courses and stuff, and seemed like a nice enough guy. Whatever. I'm not gonna call him out
Or dox him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't no real need to. But like just during the course of our conversation, we were talking about like duty to inform, like different states when you're traveling around and stuff like that, and the way that we kind of broach that topic with classes that we run and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, so, usually when, in my experience, when I get pulled over, it's just kind of a matter of like, yeah, give them my permit, license, whatever. And then like, okay, cool. I don't need to see the permit, but are you wearing a gun on you? And then I was like, yeah, it's right there. Or like, whatever. But the gun stayed in the holster. Yeah. And then the guy was like, his gun he ended up taking it out of the holster.
For what?
Because he wanted me to show that he wanted to show me that he carries over here. But like, for some reason, he was like, yeah, I carry over here. And see, so now the gun's out. And I'm like, that's weird.
What happened? How did we get here?
Why is there a gun in your hand, guy? Like, I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends a minute ago. Everything was fine. But like, now he's just got a gun. And like, okay, so then he puts the gun away. And I'm like, okay, note to self. He likes to pull guns out randomly.
Yeah.
And then like.
Makes me nervous.
Yeah. So then I put him in a position intentionally where I was just trying to see what is this guy going to do. And I was like, so if I asked you right now to show me like, or to show me how to grip a handgun, like, and your gun's loaded and my gun's loaded, so we don't need to take any guns out. I literally said those words, like, your gun's loaded, my gun's loaded. We don't need to take any guns out. We all got guns.
I have one too.
We all got guns, right? But like, how would you go about doing that? And you guys know, like, I have a method where it's like, hey, let me see your hand for a second, and we'll do this this whole thing together, right? He was like, well, okay, and then immediately he just takes his gun out. I'm like, all right. Well,
he cleared it at least?
Yeah.
Okay. At least he cleared it.
Sure. No, and like, listen, I get it. Like, if you can, I don't have a problem with drawing a gun from a holster, and doing it in a safe manner, right? But apropos of nothing, in a room with a stranger is not the time and not the
That's
place
the big
necessarily.
thing. Like a stranger, I'm going to dial back to that. Like, if you pull a gun out of your holster, I already assume it's loaded, but I also already assume you know what you're doing, and I trust you. But if I don't have a repertoire with somebody and I'm pulling a gun out, I'm very dramatic about showing clear, so they build that trust with you.
Yeah. We don't know each other right now. We're just two dudes in a room.
Literally two dudes that love guns.
You have a gun in your hand. I don't love that, right? So just from like, from that perspective, like, working behind the gun counter is kind of the same deal, where we all like guns. We all, we're here for a reason. But at the same time, like, if your gun is in your holster, I don't need to see it unless and until I ask you to see it. And then we're making an agreement about what's going to happen next.
And I'm going to be in control because I'm behind the counter.
Right. And I would always tell people when I was working behind the gun counter, hey, go ahead and I want you to make sure your gun is pointed over there. Go ahead and take it out for me because I want to see it. And then drop the mag and open the action and then turn it around and set it down on the counter or whatever. But there has to be like an agreement. You can't just randomly take guns out of holsters when you're in a room with somebody that you don't know that well, because that makes people nervous.
Very nervous.
To the point of people that you don't know, like, my baseline is I probably think you don't know what you're doing because of how many people.
I have to assume that you don't.
Because of how many people that I've seen just like somebody wants to look at a a gun that's for sale, right? And I pick it up and I clear it, slides locked back, and I go to hand it to them to check out, and then instantly finger in the trigger guard.
Yep.
I just assume people don't know what they're doing because I've seen lots of evidence that they don't.
Well, and like when you're an instructor type guy, and I'm asking you something like about, how to demonstrate a technique or how to show a technique, and then you pull your gun from behind you, and you're
already off on a bag.
You're in a chair, like you're sitting in a chair, and you have to lean forward. Now pretend you have a seatbelt on, and there's a steering wheel in front of you. Why is this a bad idea? Now tell me why you're teaching other people, you asshole.
Or if you fall on your back, like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, no small.
The gun counter's fun, man. I've had my fair share of loaded firearms pointed at me.
Yeah, it's a wild place.
It's funny. Cam and I were actually talking about that today, Tyler, because of the old vestibule going into the range.
Yeah,
about how anybody in the vestibule would have had a problem if somebody in the range pointed at that wall. They're at the counter, we had concrete, so we would have gotten 2 seconds.
Through the door, they would have an issue, but if they were lanes 7, if they were to discharge a round straight back, it would hit concrete.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, just making sure.
So I was like, oh yeah, it's still not okay, but I feel more comfortable.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was gonna say I have my Warrior.
That's an Olight too.
By Olight. Everybody poops on Olight, but I love them.
I'll say that I wouldn't use it as a serious weapon mounted light, but that's just my personal preference.
Yeah,
I'll do it. I have no problem with it for EDC lights.
My everyday carry, this is the perfect light for me. I love it.
The features are there. I love Surefire and Streamlight, but the feature set is behind.
Yeah, it's just nice that, the thing that sucks about it is China.
Yeah. It's like Maglite. How long did they take to get LEDs?
Forever.
And now they do, but they still have other issues.
Yeah. And they don't make weapon mounted lights, right?
Maglite doesn't.
Maglite does not. Yeah.
And for Owen, a lot of people love the TLR because it's budget. And there's nothing wrong with it if it works for you. But for me personally, I'm an X300 guy.
I go for an X300.
Because of the switches, it just works for my brain.
And my brain just says Surefire good.
Oh, yeah. That full page ad from early 2000s in the gun magazine. There's the Surefire with the bullet that was embedded in it. That is just burned into my brain.
But Streamlight's good. Everybody wants me to switch to Streamlight, but I'm stubborn.
I like Streamlight.
It's either Olight or Surefire for me.
Yeah. I was gonna get a TLR 9. It's an underappreciated pistol light, but I want to try it. It's hard to find holsters for it, but it's like I often say, sometimes you shouldn't use what I use because I like trying weird things.
Yeah. we'll do the testing for you.
Yeah.
Oh. That took your light?
Yes.
Interesting.
So I was walking through this little area here, and I ended up without a flashlight because the light
took the
pocket clip right out of my pocket. That was bizarre.
Very bizarre.
And it did it perfectly. It didn't fall.
It was hooked right onto there. I didn't hear it hit the ground or anything.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't have a light.
Yeah. I totally did.
It's really? You don't have a flashlight, Pat?
That would be embarrassing.
That was what I wanted to talk about since we're talking about everyday carry. Next stream or a future stream, I really want to go back into everyday carry. And everybody watching this, if you would send us a picture of your everyday carry. Be honest, I know whenever somebody's going to show an EDC picture, you always see brand new gear in there. You don't carry that every day. That tourniquet's crisp. So
maybe they carry a tourniquet and they just rotated it out.
Yeah.
Because my 320 is FDE, you can tell that I don't clean it. So it's not perfect.
I want to see dirt and all. Send us your EDC. We'll look through it and we'll pick a handful. We'll obviously show our own. We'll show our weaknesses and stuff. We'll embarrass ourselves. But yeah, we'll definitely, I want to go over that. I think that'll be a fun stream. So send us your EDC. And I see we're starting to
I
throttle.
think Facebook is telling us we have to stop.
Yeah,
I think it's
the clock on the wall is saying it's time to go. We're almost at 2 hours.
Are we really?
Yeah.
This was definitely a good stream. We got onto a lot of good topics. We had some decent interaction from the chat, which we appreciate for sure. We don't have any other questions that we're neglecting, right?
I think we
No.
Very good. I hope everybody got what they came for.
I need to make a loud noise for editing purposes. Did that work? Was that a spike?
Yeah, it worked.
Cool. It's so hard to line audio up. Like, so another little snap for me, future dude. My computer's gonna be hurting rendering this tomorrow. So catch us on Spotify. I love you.
Spotify for podcasts.
Spotify for podcasters. Stay beautiful, everyone.
Have a good night, guys.